Mircea Eliade was born in Bucharest, Romania on March 13, 1907. Although Romanian records give his birth date as February 28, this is according to the Julian calendar, since the Gregorian calendar was not adopted in Romania until 1924. Eliade's Orthodox Christian family celebrated his birthday on the Day of 40 Martyrs, which is March 9th by the Julian calendar, and Eliade himself gave that day as his birthday. Despite a childhood interest in entomology and botany, Eliade developed an interest in world literature and was led from there to theology, philosophy, and comparative religion. As a youth, he read extensively in Romanian, French, and German, and around 1924 to 1925, he learned Italian and English to read Raphael Pezzolin and James George Frazer in the original. In 1925, Eliade enrolled at the University of Bucharest, where he studied in the Department of Philosophy. The influence of Mircea Eliade, then an assistant professor of logic and metaphysics and an active journalist, was strongly felt by the Eliade, and the shadow which fell on the older scholar because of his involvement with the extreme right in interwar Romania has darkened Eliade's reputation. Who is Mircea Eliade? Mircea Eliade was educated as a philosopher. He published extensively in the history of religions and acted as editor-in-chief of Macmillan's Encyclopedia of Religion. The influence of his thought through these works and through 30 years as a director of History of Religions Department at the University of Chicago is considerable. Eliade published many works during this time. Some of his published works included Images and Symbols, Studies in Religious Symbolism, Myth and Religion, Shamanism, Archaic Techniques of Ecstasy, Patterns in Comparative Religion, and The Sacred and the Profane, The Nature of Religion. In The Sacred and the Profane, The Nature of Religion, Eliade starts by positioning his study relative to Rudolf Otto's The Idea of the Holy from 1917. Rudolf Otto's Das Heilige, The Sacred, proposed a new and original point of view. Instead of studying the ideas of God and religion, Otto undertook to analyze the modalities of the religious experience. Passing over the rationale and speculative side of religion, he concentrated chiefly on its irrational aspect. Otto had examined the sacred as an irrational experience, but Eliade is concerned with what he calls the sacred in its entirety. Eliade defines sacred as the opposite of profane. Eliade explains what he means by this definition in terms of hierophany, or the manifestation of something of a wholly different order. Mircea Eliade defines the religious man as follows. Eliade states that this is the man of all pre-modern societies, for whom anything in nature could be the subject of religious experience as being sacred, such as stones or trees. He states that the sacred tree, the sacred stone, are not adored as a stone or tree. They are worshipped precisely because they are hierophanies, because they show something that is no longer stone or tree, but the sacred. Eliade believes that those who have a religious experience, all nature is capable of revealing itself as cosmic sacrality. The cosmos in its entirety can become a hierophany. The religious man tried to live in the presence of the sacred because he desired access to the ultimate reality and the power of the sacred. Finally, Eliade proposes to show how religious man differed from the non-religious man of modern societies who live in a desacralized cosmos. What does Mircea Eliade believe? Eliade's analysis of religion assumes the existence of the sacred as the object of worship of religious humanity. It appears as a source of power, significance, and value. Humanity apprehends hierophanies, physical manifestations or revelations of the sacred often, but not only, in the forms of symbols, myths, and ritual. Any phenomenal entity is a potential hierophany and can give access to non-historical time, what Eliade calls elude tempus, Latin for that time. The apprehension of this sacred time is a constitutive feature of religious aspect of humanity. Mircea Eliade believes that religion is a focus on the sacred. The key to Mircea Eliade's understanding of religion are two concepts. The first concept is the concept of the sacred. The first possible definition of the sacred is that it is the opposite of the profane. The Latin sanctus, which we translate as holy, refers to something separated or set apart from other things. In the Bible, God is preeminently sacred or holy, and everyone else and everything else is holy or sacred only in relation to God. Sacred reality includes the God of the Bible, the Quranic Ali, the Brahmin of Hinduism, Buddhism's Nirvana, and the Kami of Shinto. Although the sacred is set apart from the ordinary, it nevertheless may be experienced, thought about, and acted upon. Mircea Eliade suggests this when he writes that all religion has to do with the element of the sacred manifesting itself in various ways, in rituals, persons, and the natural phenomena. There are three religions of transducence. These religions include Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. These are religions that present notions of sacred reality as going beyond or standing over ordinary existence. There exists an all-wise, all-powerful God in the religions of transducence, and God is beyond our world. The profane is characterized by irreverence or contempt for God or sacred principles or things, irreligious. It is not devoted to holy or religious purposes. It's unconcentrated, secular, or opposed to the sacred. It is outside the sacred or outside the temple. There are two religions of immanence, which are Indian and Chinese religions. These religions believe that there is a less of a divide between the sacred and the natural world. They believe that our world is God. Eliade says religion is primarily about the belief in the supernatural, which for him is at the heart of the sacred. He does not try to explain away religion and rejects all reductionist efforts. Eliade only focuses on timeless forms, or of ideas, which he says keeps reoccurring in religions all over the world. But in doing so, he ignores their specific historical context or dismisses them as irrelevant. Sacred is a very complex character. Therefore, what does sacred mean to everyone else? Sacred can mean many things to many different people. After the bombing of the World Trade Center, there was and continues to be an intense discussion about how that location where the buildings once stood is to be remembered. For those who lost loved ones, the remains of the Trade Center were considered to be a sacred place. To this day, people come to pray, stand silently, and mark the spot with flowers and other mementos. The word that was most used was that this spot was holy or sacred. Therefore, what do people mean when they use the word sacred? Sacred is a complex word because it is used for a wide range of phenomena, places, time, persons, events, and even for the transducent. Sacred may be stated as other than the ordinary or extraordinary. For some, sacred means that when you enter a church sanctuary or temple, you adjust your attitude toward the sacredness of the place and the reason you have went there for. For others, sacredness takes on the importance of life itself. Sacred does not necessarily have to do solely with religion, as Eliade explains. In conclusion, Mircea Eliade believes that sacred is the opposite of the profane. However, sacred can mean many different things to many different people. It is all based upon each and everyone's own beliefs and how they were raised. Finally, the meaning of sacred is different from religion to religion. Therefore, this too influences people's perception of the sacred. Donald Levy is an opponent of Mircea Eliade. His primary areas of interest are philosophy of the social sciences, epistemology, philosophy of religion, the history of the academic and scientific study of religion, and method and theory in the study of religion. He is the author of many texts, including Religion and Truth Towards the Alternative Paradigm for the Study of Religion, The Irony of Theology and the Nature of Religious Thought, Beyond Legitimation, Essays on the Problem of Religious Knowledge, and the Politics of Religious Studies, the Continuing Conflict with Theology in the Academy. Weeby believes in reductionism, which is the theory that every complex phenomenon, especially in biology or psychology, can be explained by analyzing the simple, most basic physical mechanisms that are in operation during the phenomenon. It is the practice of simplifying a complex idea, issue, condition, or the like, especially to the point of minimizing, obscuring, or distorting it. In the book, Religion and Reductionism, Essays on Eliade, Siegel, and the Challenge of the Social Sciences for the Study of Religion, Donald Weeby wrote, Robert Siegel has recently argued that the only proper scientific study of religion is a reductionist one. His defense of reductionism in the study of religion is salutary in the light of assumptions sometimes made by those who insist that religion is a distinct and autonomous discipline. And Siegel's choice of Eliade as an exemplar of non-reductionism as a foil to his own argument is, I think, beyond criticism, for Eliade is without question one of the major influences on the academic study of religion. Implicit in this argument lays an assumption on Siegel's part that there is an asymmetry between his defense of reductionism and Eliade's defense of non-reductionism. Siegel suggests that the non-reductionist accounts of religion are possible only for devotees, whereas reductionist accounts are possible for both devotees and skeptics. Wiebe feels that the burden of his argument against Eliade and for the superiority of reductionism. Wiebe also states that there is no question that Siegel is right to claim that reductionist interpretations of religion are the only ones possible for skeptics, or non-believing interpreters, if they are to remain non-believing interpreters. Robert Baird is also another opponent of Mircea Eliade. In the book Reconstructing Eliade, Making Sense of Religion, Baird argues that Eliade uses the term homo religious to refer to all humans. Robert Baird assumes homo religious to be an abstraction. He states, "It is true that Eliade's goal is to understand homo religious, but homo religious is not historical of an archetype religious man. Historical persons participate in this archetype to varying degrees." Finally, Baird states, "If it is to be accepted that a religious person is a person in a specific relation to the sacred, and that the sacred is equated with the real, then homo religious must be seen as human insofar as we apprehend the real, and apprehend ourselves as standing in some specific relationship to reality." As you can see, each of these three religionists have their own beliefs. They all believe in something different, and each has a strong argument for their belief. It is hard to say who is right, for everyone has their own beliefs.